The Super Media Bros podcast is a founding member of the OddPods Media Network.
Super Media Bros.
Is it just me, or did this movie feel like it was just like, hey, here's the only draft of the script, shoot it?
Yeah, it did. Best way I can describe it is whenever you told your parents as a 4-year-old, I want to go see the Ninja Turtles movie, they didn't expect the first one. They probably didn't expect the second one. This is probably what they would have had in mind.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 273 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Richie.
Yeah, I'm Devin.
And we are both recovering from a fucking concert hangover.
That shit was fire, though.
It was very fire. Well, we went to the Villa Vallo concert in Houston last night, which was pretty fucking amazing. And then it's like, all right, let's recover. Wait, we have to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, which we're both just like, wait, what do you even really say about this fucking movie, honestly?
Yeah, dude, I was grasping at straws to come up with content for this episode as it is, and now I'm running on like 2.5 hours of sleep, and I just got off of work, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, god damn it.
It certainly is a movie.
Yeah, and it's truthfully, it's not even as bad as people make it out to be.
No, it's not. I feel like there were great ideas in place, but I feel like the execution was just piss poor.
Yeah, like you said, it feels like it was a rough draft script. The costumes were not up to par whatsoever. This is a difficult episode because quite a few cinema showdowns that we have had. This kind of feels like a nothing burger, dude. Like, the plot is self-explanatory, but yet there's so many holes that it's like, how do you explain it?
Yeah, so for those of you that have barely seen this movie or have never seen this entry, which we wouldn't blame you if you've actually never seen this third entry.
Yeah.
It is often mistitled, which we even have it on the episode art because a lot of people actually associate this subtitle with the movie. It was just called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, but over the years in some subsequent home releases, it was called Turtles in Time, which is also the title of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System video game. Nothing to do with it. This actually was part of a multimedia arc where they had an episode of the 87 series, a comic book, and this movie all having shit to do with the Turtles going in time, back in time. It's supposed to all tie in somehow, but none of it ever wound up coalescing, if you will.
Okay. I thought you meant that it did come into fruition and I just didn't know about it.
Somewhat.
Okay.
So I have a couple of things to throw out before we get into the gist of it. So I think a lot of people noticed that with this one, it was like, okay, well, Corey Feldman's back as Donatello. I want to ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
How much money do you think he made from the first one? Like, how much was he paid to do that voice in the first one? What do you think?
Well, if the budget was $13 million, God, I don't know. It's 1990. I don't know, like $2,000?
Close. He was paid $1,500.
Okay.
So when they invited him back, he asked for more money.
Obviously, yeah.
And they were like, yeah, but you were in rehab. They fucking denied him and paid him $1,500 again.
What?
They paid him $1,500 again for this one. And the budget was like 20-something million on this one.
If the first one wasn't as good as it was, I would say fuck you to the whole trilogy just because of all the shit show that went on behind the scenes to seemingly all of them.
Yeah. And so the plot of this is that they've defeated Shredder. they seem like they're just dicking around in the subway thing. It's, if you really stop to think about it, the way that they're presenting this is like, okay, we've vanquished Shredder and the Foot Clan, and there are seemingly no other people that require that we go above ground and beat the piss out of them. So they're kind of bored. Even Raphael exclaims at one point that nobody even knows they're alive down there. And April rolls in with some flea market shit because she's going on a vacation or some crap, and they're talking about, oh, she's leaving the keys of the apartment, so they can go check on it or whatever the fuck. And she has like all these random gifts for him. Like, she has a book of swords for Leonardo. She's got a radio clock for Donatello. She's got a lamp shade with a lamp, like a Hawaiian thing for Mikey. A new fedora for Raphael. And then for Splinter, she has this giant scepter. It's a time scepter. Like, we find out it's a time scepter, but she's just like this Japanese egg timer thing. And I'm like, bro, for a pawn shop, like a flea market gift, she easily dropped like $100 on that thing.
Yeah, you could definitely tell which turtle or other species was her favorite in the bunch versus least favorite, because Don got like a pretty decent little thing.
Right, because he's like he's a gadget guy, so yeah. Of course he got that.
Leo got a book of swords, which is like, okay, it's a book and it's of swords, so that makes sense. But at the same point, it's like, that is a significantly different price, I can promise you.
Sure.
Mikey got a lampshade. Ralph got he got a hat. So yeah, that's cool.
I would think he goes out more than the others do, so sure.
Yeah, it's just like a lampshade. Did he do something to you? Like what?
Right. She's just kind of like, here's a lampshade for all the bright ideas you never have.
Yeah, like she might as well have fucking said it. Holy fuck.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's so bad.
Holy shit. It's like, god damn.
It's like roast me without roasting me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fucking to wear at all the parties you don't go to that you never got invited to. Like, right. What the fuck?
And then she probably looked at that egg timer thing and was just like, this is for Splinter, who's as old as fuck.
Dude, it's like, god damn, man.
Right. And speaking of Splinter and the costumes you were talking about,
I don't like them.
I don't either. This here's the funny thing. Like, it went from the Henson's Creature Shop to, you ever hear the name of a company and you immediately think, yeah, that's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the company that took over was called the All Effects Company.
Notice how my smile just faded directly in front of you.
Think about it. It's like, I got it. We're going to hire the All Effects Company because they do it all. I bet you that's what they were thinking too.
Oh, God.
Even though I can't remember right off the top of my head who all they've worked on, but I do remember hearing they worked on a few significant things. But if you're trying to compare your work to the Henson's Creature Shop, this is not it. I mean, I made mention about this during an episode of a podcast I guested on recently, Catching Up on Cinema. Me and Trevor brought up this Master Splinter and how it just looks like a fucking discarded Chuck E. Cheese animatronic, and we're just waiting on sparks to pop out of its fucking skull when it started talking.
That's the thing, is like, I understand it that the budgets slowly decreased with each passing film. Or no, that's actually not true. The second one had a higher budget, did it not?
A little bit, but I mean, it feels like it stayed around the same. Like, this one had like a $20 to $22 million budget and only made like 50.
It feels like each budget got smaller, and that's not good. I say that's unfair. That is extremely unfair to part 2 because of the other creatures. But my point is like, turtle quality wise, it seems like they got less and less, and it's like, shouldn't you see like an appraisal here? Like, shouldn't you go up?
You would think.
Especially, I'm sorry, part 2 could have made like 5 million after the success of the first one. It's like, dude, you made so much ungodly money for what you paid. You didn't have to draw a fucking dime for part 2.
No.
You have zero excuse to not have fuck you money for the next 2 sequels. What is the problem?
It's the whole supply and then like taking a gamble on what you're going to get back in the investment thing. Cause you got to think a lot of those people instead of listening to what was working, they listened to pissed off parents and they're like, well, I guess we got to cut this down and cut this back, and a lot of compromise and a lot of bullshit. And it hurt it.
Yeah.
So their expectations were low for a third film. So of course they're not going to put forth the effort you would think. Even though they had 2 years between the second one and this one. It's kind of what blows my mind is that the script had so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't executed great. The second one looked better. Like, it was vibrant. Yeah. It looked like a comic. It looked like the cartoon. It looked good. This one, they were like, well, we got to do some of what made the first one work because they got their fucking weapons back and they fucking used them.
Yeah, that was cool.
And that's the problem that I have with this third one. There's some likable aspects to it, but other than that, I can't get into it. So the egg timer thing somehow links up with the same artifact in feudal Japan in the 1600s.
Sensible.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get into a lot of character like names and things like that, only because we would be here all fucking day long.
Yeah, we're fucking tired, man.
So I'll mention the names of the characters that fucking matter in the story plot.
All 5 of them?
Yeah, so Lord Norinaga, who is the head of this entire Japanese clan, is kind of somewhat brokering a deal with Walker, who's this arms dealer, basically. Like they're basically trading off like goods for guns and shit like that. You know, he's trying to supply Norinaga with guns to win a war because Norinaga is really like old fashioned or whatever. Meanwhile, his son Kenshin, who is one of the leaders of his honor guard, is literally sleeping with the enemy in the form of Mitsu, who is leading a revolution against Norinaga's entire regime. So there's that subplot that's going on. Well, Norinaga believes that she has kidnapped his son because Kenshin winds up switching spots with April upon holding that artifact. And at the same time, like, they both set off the time scepter and they swap spots. It's equal mass displacement, as Donatello deduces later. And I love how quickly they got to this.
Yeah.
Like, she disappears. They're like, what the fuck happened? They call Casey Jones, who is literally only in this movie to be a babysitter for Splinter.
Yeah, a babysitter for a fucking grown-ass man.
That's it.
Like, don't tell me that he's old. He might be old, but he's not senile. Splinter at no point has shown signs of deterioration. Man's is just vibing.
Right? Like, but I think what it was is because they didn't want Kenshin to go fucking ape shit on him.
As if Splinter can't fold his stupid ass.
I'm telling you, dude. Splinter makes people pass the fuck out. How does he not, like...
I feel like they only got Casey in because they were like, hey, we heard people talking shit that you weren't in the second one. Do you want to come in? And he's like, what do I have to do? He's like, fucking stand around and make references to hockey. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm in. What cracks me up also is speaking of hockey, the big piece of fucking green tape over the front of that fucking Seattle hockey jersey because they were like, well, we don't want to get fucking sued.
It still blows my mind how copyright infringement works when it comes to logos.
Yeah.
Like, you can do that. Or I will never forget this. It was elementary school and I just got my first ever laptop. And I was going through and it had like built-in apps and whatnot. I don't remember the name, but it was literally they had an app and it was a Facebook logo, but instead of blue it was in red so they could get away with it.
Oh my God.
I do not know what this is. Work your magic and try and track it down if you can, but I shit you not, that's a fucking thing.
Yeah, maybe later.
But I'm just saying, like, the Seattle thing, like, it's like, dude, it's the same fucking logo.
Yep.
You just covered up the word.
Mm-hmm.
How?
I don't know, dude.
But then you go on YouTube and it's like, we're reviewing a movie, but we use one frame of said movie, and it's like, yeah, take this shit down.
Yeah, pretty much. So Donatello does his little mathematical bullshit with a shitload of paper that he's like, it looks like, you remember that old printer paper with the fucking piece of the side you could just like tear off. It was that preparation or whatever the fuck.
How old do you think I am?
I'm just saying they had that for a while. I know places that still use it.
I'm fucking with you.
I know.
I've seen it in films, but I have not dealt with it myself.
It still just makes me laugh because he's just like holding all this paper. He's like, it's equal mass displacement. You see, guys, for every one of us that goes back, someone from the past will come here.
I'm like,
All right.
I'm like, what? And how did you deduce this? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And it just whatever. But like they figure this out and they switch places with the honor guard instead of these priests that were supposed to be at this temple. Like it was literally supposed to be them like, okay, well, we're going to swap spots with these priests that are going to be of no harm.
mm-hmm.
We're going to take the scepter. We're going to hide it. We're going to find April and we're going to get the fuck out of here. Of course that doesn't happen. Like Noranaga and Walker, which it's just Walker. It's whatever.
It's just like how my buddies, okay, they're all Puerto Rican, right? There's the sister, Aliana, the little brother, Jalil, and then there's Brian.
It's just Brian.
Yeah.
Like Walker's just hanging around and they kidnap April and they throw her in this fucking thing. So of course it becomes a rescue mission on top of all the shit. Well, when the turtles like teleport, the honor guard were in the middle of a fucking battle. So they're on horseback. And one of the funniest goddamn lines in the movie, like they're trying to figure out, they're like, what the fuck is this? Like they've never, and to my knowledge, have never seen horses.
You've never seen horses?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, how? Fuck. Like, that's what's cracking me up because they're just like, wait, hey, where's the steering wheel? How do you fucking steer this thing? And then Michelangelo is backwards and he's like, out of nowhere, they're all like making these jokes and cracking these lines. And he's like, mine doesn't even have a head.
First of all, they're all movie buffs. So it's like, you've never in a movie, you've never seen a horse? And number two, didn't they say horsey at one point? I feel like they did.
Yeah, I feel like they did too. It's very confusing.
But also their intelligence in these movies in general are pretty like, for one, it's inconsistent, but they go down, they get dumber as the movies get on.
And this is not to say that he's always dumb, because I don't think he's even dumb. I mean, for fuck's sake, he's the last Ronin, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Michelangelo's intelligence level went up as the other three kind of went down, if you've noticed that.
Whereas I feel, and I will continue to call him Ralph, fuck you. Ralph's maturity went up.
Yeah.
Whereas Leo, I'm like, now that I think about it, I'm like, you kind of took a backseat in this movie.
Yes, he did.
Because I'm thinking about it, aside from the one little like head dunking thing at the very end, I can't say that I recall a single contribution that Leonardo did in this movie.
No, he's kind of like reining it all in. That's his role as the leader. Let's just rein this all in, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, like, which I will give this movie credit. Mentioning Ralph's maturity, he kind of had an arc here where all of the lessons that Splinter has taught him to grow up and everything and control your rage and everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of pulled in full circle here. I would have liked one scene where it's like a little more clear, because that's like after you and I discussing and then possibly even a tad bit of reaching. But whereas I feel like if they had a scene in this movie to show for it, it would have been a little bit more clear. But I see what they were going for.
I mean, it was clear enough for a child that's watching this to kind of see it.
Mm-hmm.
And what Devin's referring to is that there is a character named Yoshi who is the younger brother of Mitsu, like younger brother. And Raph kind of like takes on a pseudo big brother fatherly kind of role to him in a sense. Like really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And that's where all these lessons come in, is where like Raphael could probably still be that fucking prick.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's time for him to be in charge, or when it's time for him to be like, oh shit, I need to kind of put forth lessons my father's teaching me. That's where the fucking maturity arc comes into play.
Yeah, and it was nice to see.
It really was. And dare I say, Raph is the guy that took on more of a leadership role in this film.
He absolutely did. Like I said, what did fucking Leo do? He dodged a cannonball.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all.
So a bunch of shenanigans happen, like, in the prison cell. Like, Michelangelo gets kidnapped by Mitsu's clan because he gets knocked off the horse, and he's the one that had the scepter. So the scepter goes missing from a mystery person that grabs it. The turtles wind up running into Mitsu's clan later after having rescued April from Norinaga's castle. And Mitsu recognizes Raphael and is like, well, you look just like the other one. So they figure out, okay, well, we know where our brother's at. So when they go to their village is being ransacked by Walker and his men, basically trying to drive out the resistance force. And turtles wind up clearing them all out. Michelangelo rescues Yoshi from a burning house, and Leo performs CPR on him and brings him back. And this kind of earns the trust of the townsfolk and her clan. So they're all kind of banding together. Okay, how do we stop this impending war? Well, there's a plot hole where they only have 60 hours before that time scepter does not work anymore. So that's kind of like, okay, they're in a crunch to get the fuck back home. Michelangelo kind of falls for Mitsu in a way, and he's like, oh well, we've got Kenshin, he'll be back when we leave and all this other shit. It's a whole other subplot, but it comes down to Mitsu is kidnapped by what is supposed to be a descendant of Casey Jones, or an ancestor of his, because it's the same actor, Elias Koteas. And they're like, okay, well, you're giving me the fucking scepter back or we're going to kill her, because the scepter is actually an ancient family relic that Norinaga's family has given to him. But Walker is kind of using this as, not bait, but he's using it as like a bargaining chip at this point.
Some leverage.
Yep. As it turns out, like Donatello and one of the dude that hammers out all the swords and shit.
Oh, blacksmith.
Thank you. Fucking he decides he did great, man. He decides that he's gonna build a scepter out of nothing. And he does. And then, of course, like, Mikey and Raph get into a fucking tug-of-war argument for nothing over it, and they drop it down a fucking water well, and it breaks. So they're like, well, we're kind of fucked. Well, it turns out that it's been hiding under Mitsu's fucking house the whole time, because Yoshi just goes and retrieves it because he doesn't want the turtles to go to fight in the war, because he doesn't want them to die. And so he's like, well, you don't have to die anymore. You can go home now. And
kind of wholesome.
Yeah, but they get pissed because, like, even like I said this when we were watching this, when Michelangelo gets pissed off about something, that's when you know shit has hit the fan, because Raph puts all of this together. He's like, yeah, so as long as we didn't have the fucking scepter, we had no choice but to stay here and fucking fight. And then when Mitsu goes to leave, Mikey just stops. He's like, is that for real? And he has his fist clutched. I'm like, he's about to punch her.
I know. That's what I noticed. I was looking at his little nubs, and I was like, God damn, dude. Motherfucker's ready to beat the fucking piss out of you.
And then her dad comes in. I think it's her dad.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I think it's her dad. Whatever. He's like, no, I'm the one that hid it under the house. I wanted you to stay and fight. So do they stay and fight? Do they win the war? We're going to take a break and come back and let you know that does or doesn't happen.
What if it didn't?
Oof, turtle soup. You were listening to the Super Media Bros on the OddPods Media Network. Don't go anywhere, especially back in time. It kind of sucks. Gentlemen, if you didn't already know, it's tax season here in the United States. And you know what that means? It means that Manscaped is here to make sure that your paperwork is done and your boys downstairs are having fun. What better way to invest your tax return than into yourself? Manscaped has the full package from head to toe to make sure that you get your money's worth this April. The Performance Package 4.0 is the ultimate bundle that you need to reinvent yourself and your confidence. In the package, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is the star of the show, offering a precise shave on all your wildest hedges. And even more exciting news, the Performance Package 4.0 now includes the brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer. This bad boy's been totally revamped with a brand new and improved blade and motor. And dare I say, it's the best ear and nose hair trimmer ever. It's cordless, rechargeable, and has skin-safe technology that reduces nicks, snags, and tugs. After clearing your nose, make sure to get rid of that foul ball smell with the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, and the Crop Reviver is a spray-on toner for your balls. And for all my guys out there with a little scruff, Manscaped now has beard products. Yeah, the whole package. The brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit is the head honcho, containing more than 9 products and wet goods. It's everything that you need to craft your signature look. The start of spring also marks the start of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month in April. Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. So get 20% off plus free shipping with our code SUPER at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping site-wide with our code SUPER at manscaped.com. Don't just get your money back this year, get your swagger back too with Manscaped.
Hey, you there. We've got a question for you. Are you tired of clickbait stories and the loudest voices driving discussions in culture and entertainment?
If so, I'm Dylan.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey.
And we host the podcast From the Middle. We're middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle.
We take a more reasonable and centrist approach in our discussions covering genres like comedy, culture, entertainment, and interviews with really interesting folks like business owners, comic creators, doctors, news anchors, New York Times best-selling illustrators, professional stand-up comics, and more. We really value a relaxed and conversational podcast, one that we hope is so fun and laid back, you'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
So search at From the Mid Pod, just like it sounds, or check us out everywhere you can find podcasts.
And we're back. So, do our heroes in a half shell come out on top? Of course they do. It's a fucking Turtles movie.
Yeah, and it was PG in the 90s. What do you think?
Yeah. So another plot was that Noranaga was flipped out over these fuckers because there's some scrolls in the fucking temple where Kappa, or demons in Japan, for some reason, the Kappa that destroyed his family are turtles, and it's basically them in the paper.
Yeah.
So he's flipped out over them, and that's why they want to kill the turtles.
Yeah, we know this makes zero sense. We know. We didn't write it.
Yes, no, we fucking sure the fuck didn't write it. The turtles show up to get Mitsu back and hopefully help defeat Noranaga. Well, they fight a bunch of motherfuckers, and then they get the drop on Noranaga, quite literally, with one of the war gong bells or whatever the fuck. Leo chops that fucker down, and it just lands on him. He ain't dead. He's just trapped in it. It's just big and heavy.
Yeah, whenever I was a kid, I was bamboozled by that, but then the later sequence happens, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Walker winds up just being like, oh, well, fuck it. We're just going to shoot him. Like, he just rolls up, and he's just got his entire clan. He's like, we're just going to fucking shoot you guys. Fuck this.
Not knowing if the bullets will ricochet or anything, just like, caution to the wind. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah, exactly. But earlier in the film, they thought April was a witch. So seeing the turtles and hearing that they are, like, quote, Kappa, Leo decides to just fucking lean into that. And he's just like, go ahead. Why don't you shoot us? Because your bullets are just going to bounce off of us and they'll ricochet and kill all of you instead. And I'm like, oh my God, he actually said the word kill. Like, they use that word quite a bit in this one. I was like, all right, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, ironically, the most lighthearted of the trilogy was the only one that I can recall where they said kill.
Pretty much. I mean, even Leo just takes his sword and draws a quite literal line in the fucking sand. And he's like, come on, make my day. Like, he does the whole Clint Eastwood thing. So Walker's just like, oh, I got a better idea. So he just rolls over to his cannon, like you said, and he goes to fire it at Leo. Well, he ducks into a shell and it hits the bell. And there's a couple of insults that Donatello throws at Noranaga back to back that are fucking hilarious. Like, the first time is when Noranaga confronts them in the fucking scroll room. Oh, look, Wayne Newton. Fucking looks like Wayne Newton.
It does.
And then he fucking comes out of the bell and is, it's very cartoony where there's smoke coming off him and his hair is all fucked up. Oh, look, Don King.
That show was good.
Yeah, all of it was pretty fucking good. So they chase Walker up the stairs, and his big idea for the getaway is that he's going to take him and his bird, and he's going to climb down the side of this fucking castle to the fucking ocean shore. But there's no boat or anything for him to get away on.
Yeah, I don't understand what the logic was.
I don't either, because his whole idea is like, well, I'm just going to throw the scepter in the air.
Was there an extended cut to this that just never saw the light of day?
I don't believe.
Because it feels like
there's a lot cut out.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like that. Because like his big idea is that he's like, oh, I'm going to throw the scepter. He's like, oh, this is what you're looking for? Fucking go fetch. So he can do the getaway. If they were already afraid he was going to break the fucking thing, they were afraid to approach him. Why do you think he threw it like towards them instead of just saying fuck you and just yeeting it into the ocean?
I don't know.
Yeah, you see what I'm... Yeah, God. So they catch it midair and he gets a flaming ball catapulted at him, and it hits the little thing holding the rope he was going to climb down, and he winds up falling in.
They cut out this shot where he would splash. I guess it was not within their budget. I don't fucking know.
It was so bad looking.
But it's like he's falling. He's nowhere. Like
he just goes.
Yeah, you're just too believe he's in the water.
Yeah, and there's a splash sound effect and no splash at all.
Yeah, it's like what I had to turn to look at Richie and be like, did I blink?
He fucking literally looked at me and goes, did that just happen?
I was waiting for you to actually just tell me, no, dude, my DVD has a little scuff on it. It skipped. I would have believed you.
I wish that were the case, but it's fucking not.
I do not remember that on my old VHS tape.
I don't think the producers or the filmmakers remember that either, if I'm being honest. They probably didn't remember to put that one frame in there. They were just like the editing department is looking at this on the world premiere. Like if they just world premiered it in a theater somewhere and they're all sitting there looking at this, just like, oh, fuck yeah. Here comes that big fucking special effect I worked on for months. Sploosh. Brian, did you forget to put the splash visual effect in there?
Dude, what the actual fuck? Abysmal.
Yeah, so the turtles wind up switching places. I mean, uneventfully, because they try to make it all dramatic with Michelangelo wanting to stay.
Didn't buy it for a second.
I didn't buy none of it for a second, dude, and just so dumb. Like they
because it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like they switch back. Mitsu and Kenshin are reunited, and fucking they go back home, and Michelangelo's all sad because he's like, oh, I'm never gonna laugh again. And then all it took was Splinter putting the fucking lampshade on his head, just like Elvis in Blue Hawaii, and he's just, oh god. Then it ends with them dancing. By far the most uneventful Turtles movie that I've ever seen.
Yeah, which is weird because something was always moving, like plot-wise, but
it didn't feel like the stakes were very high.
No, and I saw this as a review for Cool World, as a negativity where they said it's too silly to take serious, but too serious to be funny. That's how I felt with a lot of this movie, where it's like the stakes don't feel high, but I know that they are.
Do you also feel like, and this is just me, like legit asking this, do you feel like the tonal aspect of it just never quite synced up? It's like it was imbalanced, it felt like.
It honestly felt like a child playing with his action figures, and the writer just did his kid a solid and said, you know what, little Timmy, I'm going to turn this into a movie. Keep playing. And that's what they came up with.
You know what would have been a better idea?
And
this is just me. If they were going to go sticking with this whole fucking thing.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Why not put them in feudal Japan, but have literally the honor guard and Norinaga have the looks of them, but not directly being named them, but being descendants of Shredder and his Foot Clan?
Well, that would make more sense.
and then have it to where, like, in feudal Japan, having those same scrolls with the Kappa, Shredder and his Foot Clan are the good guys because he's technically defending his people from these demons that he knows to exist somewhere that annihilated parts of his family from the past.
Yeah, and you could have like even the villagers chasing the turtles down, like
Major conflict of interest as far as like, oh, that we're not really the bad guys, but that's how they see us. And it's like, fuck, you would have an entire like good emotional story arc there.
Ralph could still find Yoshi, and that you kind of have that moment of like a child's purity where they don't even see the bad in somebody. They just see what's directly in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost as if, you know, guys, this is not fucking hard. We're just two dumb fucks sitting in a room sleep deprived, and we already came up with a better plot. This isn't hard. This was improv. You think we wrote this shit down? We didn't.
He's not wrong. And the most fucked up part about this is that they had 2 years to come up with something.
Fucking.
We did this in less than 2 minutes, and it's already a better idea.
Motherfuckers out here getting paid millions, dude. I'm fucking pissed. And I gotta take a shit. Can we wrap this shit up?
Yeah, so that rounded out the actual live-action trilogy. And we didn't even get a sequel to any of this because it kind of killed the franchise for a short while.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, well, the next Mutation TV series came out, and that was even more of a nail in the coffin.
Mm.
The 2007 TMNT.
Much better.
Yeah, oh my God, I love that one. It's very underrated. It's very good. So do a solid and fucking check that one out. We're definitely not going to review that one anytime soon because we have other fish to fry and other turtle soup to make, but that's the end of the live-action TMNT trilogy. I feel like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is going to be a lot better when it comes out this August.
I love that they're actually teenagers.
Same. And the fact that they're going with that kind of like Into the Spider-Verse animation with it.
I love it.
I'm sold.
So much.
Yeah, I'm sold on that and the fucking cast. So like check that out when it comes out. But until then, visit supermediabrospodcast.com for past, present, and future episodes. Check out all the other shows on the OddPods Media Network by visiting oddpodsmedia.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. Buy a t-shirt from our merch store. Leave us a rating and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, and GoodPods. I think it's time we get the fuck out of here, my friend.
Yeah, I was for real. I got to take a shit.
Oh, I thought it was just a bit.
No.
Oh.
You've been keeping this up. I don't know how much you're cutting, but we've been here for too long. I got to fucking shit.
It's only been 2 hours.
Motherfucker. God.
Okay, I'll cut the rest of that.
Okay.
All right.
Actually fucking stretched out us spitballing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sequel that was better than this one for 2 fucking hours. Can we hurry?
Yeah, we can hurry. All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay, guys. Until
I'm Devin.
Bye.
We're off.
I'm Richie, and I guess until next week, shades on. And as Devin said, we're off.